He usually does like a write-up. It's a little more
Dave,
formal.
I think she might win.
And so I'm waiting to go back to that.
Ready, board members?
Yeah, I'm talking about this place is one of your
Ready? All set, guys? Good evening, board members and residents. I would like to call to order our regular board meeting for Monday, March 23rd, 2015. Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Witt, will you please take the roll call?
Yes, Mr. Battanti?
Here.
Mr. Brado?
Here.
Mr. Capral?
Here.
Mr. Tominella?
Here.
Mr. York?
Here.
Mr. Witt? Here. Mr. Verkest?
Here. Next on our agenda is the consent agenda, including approval of the regular board meeting minutes of March 9, 2015, approval of the bills in the amount of $692,483.86, approval of the February 2015 revenue and expenditure report, approval to purchase Type K roll copper from HD Supply in the amount of $3,693.20, approval to purchase no lead brass underground fittings from Aetna Supply in the amount of $4,080, and approval to purchase quick coupler and pin kit from Richmond, New Holland in the amount of $2,106. We're looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the bills in the amount of $692,483.86.
We've got a motion by Mr. Tominella. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Mr. Capral. Discussion, board members? Hearing none and seeing no public comment, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Next is the approval of the regular agenda. I think there was one proposed amendment.
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to propose that we move item F to be discussed after item H.
All right, so perhaps we'll move item F to item H2. Is that all right?
Fine.
Okay.
We've always done the agenda first, but
Yep. No, it was a request. I mean, we can do it in whatever order, so.
you think that'll, well, I'll bring up my item.
Okay.
H, closed session to discuss negotiations with IAFF firefighters local 1737. We don't have any contract and/or any ongoing negotiations with the fire department that I know of. Now, if the fire department has opened their contract and I don't know about that, then that's fine. I can see by the shaking of the head in the back of the room, Union Vice President, that that's not the case. I don't understand how we could possibly go into a closed session to discuss negotiations with the fire department when there are no ongoing negotiations.
All right. Well, Mr. Huth, I know that at our last board meeting, we did have some discussion and the board gave me direction, and I have a response to the direction that the board gave me. Do you believe it would be appropriate for us to have a closed session based on that response?
I believe under those circumstances, it's appropriate. I will say that if your response is, if we go back into closed session and the fire department is unwilling to do any more discussions, you'll report that to the board, and then that will be the end of our closed sessions discussions on the issue then.
Yep. All right.
Are there ongoing discussions with the fire department?
Well, I think
Well,
the
I'm
answer,
looking at the union president, so
No, I
I'm
understand
not
that,
party
but-
to any of these
But that's not
meetings.
proper.
Well, it is proper because you can go into closed session for 3 items: contract negotiations, lawsuits, and
attorney opinion.
attorney opinion. So I'm trying to figure out how our discussion last weekend falls into those categories. It's not an attorney opinion. I don't think that it's a contract because we have a signed, sealed, and delivered contract at this point.
Well,
And
We actually don't
and
have a
what-
signed
and-
contract, but we do have a decision from an arbitrator.
Okay, we have a decision from an arbitrator, but those talks are over. We have an arbitrator. So I'm trying to figure out, without divulging too much, how our discussion fits into one of those three categories, because I don't believe it does.
well, the response would be that we know that there was a direction from the board that Mr. Vercast reach out to the fire department. He's going to respond to the board in closed session as to what the fire department said. It would likely said one of two things. We're interested in talking, which then it would be appropriate to continue in closed session, or they might have reported back, we're not interested in talking. If that's his report to us in closed session, we'll get the report from Mr. Vercast in closed
And
session.
then that ends the closed
That will
session?
end the closed session.
All right. It's fair enough.
All right, was there any other amendment that you had? No. Are there any other amendments to the agenda? I know, Chief, I know that you had an emergency repair that, we're not prepared to talk about that? Correct. Right, okay.
Do you need a verbal okay on anything?
We,
or-
we went through that process.
I'm sorry.
Yep, and the policy allows, I think it was $2,200, the limit is $2,000, it was a transmission repair. You got the verbal approval, and it'll come back before the board. I just didn't
And
know.
normally what happens is you, Adam and I get involved and we make a decision. I believe that's what the policy states.
Yep. So, well, I think it's actually the finance director, I believe. But in either case, are there any other amendments to the agenda? Hearing none, I've got a proposal to move item F to item H2. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as proposed? As amended, I guess you'd say.
I'll make that motion.
All right, we got a motion by Mr. Batanti. Is there
Support.
support? Support by Mr. Brado. Discussion? Hearing none, we'll open the floor for public comment.
Jim Sunstock,
Hey,
31698.
Jim, could you move the mic? Thank you.
I'm sure everybody can hear me, but just in case. 31698, San Juan. First off, I believe moving item F to after H means that the public will be cut out of any input on item F, because they'll have to stick around for your closed session that you think you're going to have. If, in fact, the fire department has answered the supervisor, that can be done in public. Basically, they can say, the fire department said this, or the fire department said that. That can be done in public. At which time, if you're going to negotiate, then you would go into closed session. But for you to go into closed session to discuss something that is outside the legal parameters of the Open Meetings Act is a violation of state law. For you, Mr. Huth, to tell them that's okay is a violation of your duty as an attorney. You are a court officer. You're not allowed to have them do anything that's illegal, if you know it's illegal.
Mr. Supervisor, if I could ask that the speaker address his comments to the chair as
I'll
opposed
address them to you,
individuals.
Mr. Witt. You're illegal for putting it in the minutes that you held that meeting last time. So does that satisfy you? I'm addressing you now. You people are in violation. I sat up there as a supervisor. I know what you can and can't do in closed session. In fact, I stopped several attempts at that kind of stuff. What is going on here? Where are the people in this township going to be? You guys go in secret sessions anytime you want to discuss anything you want, and then your attorney's backing you up. I'm going to tell you right now, this is an illegal closed session. I'm telling you that up front, and I'm addressing you. I addressed all of you. It is illegal. And if you go into closed session, you can count and rest assured that I will be at the prosecutor's office tomorrow morning. It is blatant It's just blatant what you think you can do. You are not the king, Mr. Verkest. You have certain laws and certain rules that you have to follow. You can't just go and do anything you want, anytime you want. It don't work that way. And because you're afraid to say something to them, you're getting yourself into the same situation. Because I'm going to tell you what, Mr. Huth, you have crossed the line as far as your duty as an attorney. Thank you.
Thank you.
William Burrell, quick comment on job number F. I think this should be brought back at the next meeting and people decide what you want to do and what's going to go on, and bring this back at the next meeting when maybe possibly there's more information, and then take that from there. But I believe that item number F should be moved to the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other public comment, we'll close the floor for public comment and move back to board comment. Any discussion, board members?
Mr. Verkest, I would just ask that at the end of, just before we go into closed session, will there be an opportunity for the public to comment at that time?
Yeah, actually, closed session is item H, and we typically allow for public comment prior to that, so that anyone who wishes to make a general public comment doesn't have to wait till after the closed session.
And those general public comments could include comments regarding the item that we've moved down the agenda, is that correct?
That's correct.
So the public here would have an opportunity to speak their mind about that item at that time?
That's correct.
Good, thank you.
And the public can stay until after and witness that agenda item if they'd like.
Yeah, I think contrary to what some boards have done, we've made an effort to move closed sessions as far toward the end of the agenda as possible, so that for those people who might have other business to present before the board, we try to give them that possibility without having to wait too late. But we do have, obviously, the right to address something after closed session. So, any other discussion?
I don't know if Mr. Huth did you have a comment, Rob?
I do not.
No?
I would just be repeating what I've already said.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, discussion? Hearing none, we've got a motion by Mr. Batanti with support by Mr. Brado to approve the agenda with the revision of moving item F to item H2. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Thank you, board. Next is announcements. I do not have any announcements this evening. Are there any announcements anyone else has? All right, so next on our agenda is item B1, and that's an appointment, actually a reappointment. Board members, Ms. Patricia Carrier's term on the Waste Hauler Hardship Committee has expired. Ms. Carrier wishes to continue to serve on the committee. With her previous experience and past experience in other charitable matters, Ms. Carrier will continue to be an asset for the Waste Hauler Hardship Committee. I would like to recommend the reappointment of Ms. Carrier to the Waste Hauler Hardship Committee for the remainder of the two-year term to expire August 9, 2016.
Motion to appoint Mrs. Patricia Carrier to the Waste Hauler Hardship Committee for the remainder of a two-year term to expire August 9, 2016.
Support.
We've got a motion by Mr. Tominello with support by Mr. Brado to appoint Ms. Carrier to the remainder of the two-year term. Discussion, board members? Hearing none and seeing no public comment, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Thank you, board. Next is item C regarding the single waste hauler. Board members, we have received proposals from 3 firms to provide waste hauling services to our residents for the next 5 years. The proposals are attached, included in the board packet. Our current contract with Tringali Sanitation expires on May 1st, 2015. We need to select a firm to provide these services for the next 5 years. Board members, we had put out, we began this process by forming a subcommittee to look at the current contract, the current service. We also went through a public input process where we announced at board meetings, added to the website, accepted emails, I think through Twitter, several methods, asked people to give input on what they might like to see in the waste hauler contract and different services, et cetera. The committee met, formed a new bid packet. The board approved that packet. Went out for, I guess, distribution, if you will. We heard from 4 firms that were interested. We held a pre-bid meeting with those 4 firms, and during that time, there were some questions about the contract, maybe different issues, maybe a typo here, a request there. So Mr. Huth had arranged to tabulate all of those, distribute those additional issues to all 4 firms. Last Monday, excuse me, at 2 p.m., we received the bids, and the information from those bids is included in your packet. I will point out that within that packet, there were a couple of items that, just in the interest of distribution and scanning, some of the proposals were rather large. I didn't include every flyer that was in there. I didn't include every proof of insurance. There were reference letters, you know, for all of the waste haulers and so forth. Of the 4 firms that submitted a bid, or I should say that picked up a bid package, 1 firm, Republic, chose not to bid. They submitted a no bid letter. So what we have before us are proposals from Waste Management, Rizzo Environmental Services, and Tringali Sanitation. Included in there is their, basically their bid tabulation sheet, which was uniform. It was included in the bid packet. So that information is before you. There is the opportunity, obviously, for us to choose one of these 3 firms. We typically don't accept any public comment until such time as we take action, but knowing that I see some of the firms represented here, I believe all the firms, it may be the board's pleasure that we might allow the companies that submitted bids to provide public comment.
Can I just add something?
Sure.
Can we at least just tell the public what the bids are?
Sure.
I mean, to start, I mean,
Yeah.
at least that'll be a starting point.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so Waste Management was, what was added on?
I think it was 173. No, I'm not
So
sure.
Waste Management was $334 a week, at 52 weeks was $173.68. But their bid goes up 8 cents every year for the 5 years of the contract. And then they are willing to pay the admin fee and at the township hardship proposal. They are proposing that residents can get a waste cart for $48 a cart. That's pretty much,
They no bid the chipping services. That was one of
yeah,
the requests.
yeah, I was looking for the chipping services.
Yep, but they
So-
did submit some information about a recycling program, and perhaps if there's a representative here, they might want to speak on that, but they did have a recycling proposal.
Is there anybody here from Waste Management?
Well, there is, but did you want to read through each one? and
Well,
then-
no, I was
oh.
just giving like a, okay,
Yeah.
so then.
So I was just trying to say the
so-
broad, features.
So Rizzo was 269, 5 times 52. So their bid is 140.14 for years 1, 2, and 3. And then that would go up to 277 in years 4 and 5 to 144.04. They're going to include the $4,000 hardship. They're going to include the admin fee. They also are including, I know I read all this earlier. I think that they're including a trash can the first year, if I'm not mistaken.
As well as repair or replacement of broken cans for the life of the contract.
I got too many papers here. Okay, so they are, here it is, right here. They're doing a recycling program, I believe similar to Waste Management and similar to Tringali in their package where they're gonna refund some recycling. If I'm not mistaken, all three were doing that program.
I don't know if they're all the same, but
Yeah, I think they're a little different, but general thing. The cart and Environmental Services will provide 164-gallon wheeled recycling cart on a voluntary basis upon request,
free of charge.
free of charge. And then I believe that they're giving one cart if you call within the first year, one of the regular trash carts. They've included premium bush clipping or chipping service once a month. The unlimited bulk waste, but I think everybody, that's just one of their items, but I think that everybody's offering that. And everybody's offering just pick up everything, right?
That was part of the contract.
Yeah, yeah. Just like we
You
are
haven't
now.
had a problem with it so far, have you?
No,
Yeah, no, that's included
no,
in the.
no, I was just saying that,
I mean, you never had a problem?
Yeah,
this
so
is
hang
not
on,
public
yeah,
comment.
hold on.
no,
We
no,
wanna,
no.
we wanna we don't wanna necessarily
No,
get
I
into
was
an
just
exchange.
commenting that everybody's gonna pick up all the goods, and then, Rizzo's doing a Q alert enhancement, which I'm sure that they're more familiar with that. Tringali, their quote is 175.24 every year, flat, for 5 years. They're gonna include the hardship program like we're already doing. They're gonna include a administration fee. And I know I read it, here we go. They are going to offer 18-gallon recycling bin are free to newly constructed homes. Our placement bin is $10. 65-gallon recycling bins are available to all residents. Cost $65 picked up from our site, $75 delivered. New 95-gallon compost and rubbish carts are available to all interested residents. Cost $80 from the site, $90 delivered. The recycling option, they're going to give the value of the recycling material back to the township. And the chipping option, residents not interested in bundling brush can contact Tringali for a chipping quote. A quote will be given to each resident before chipping service is done. Hourly rate is $80. They do have an alternative bid regards to the trash cans. We will supply each resident a new 95-gallon trash cart for an additional 27 cents per week. Cost would be included in the first-year contract.
Or first year or 5 year, I think it says.
Oh, I'm sorry,
First 5 year.
first 5 years, I'm sorry. And I believe that cost comes out to $66 or something over that 5-year cycle. So I think those are the general parameters. If I missed something, please let us know, but I think that hit on the general topics.
All right. I don't know if there are any comments, or if the board sees value in opening up the floor for public comment prior to
Well,
the making.
if the trash guys want to talk, why don't
Yeah, I'd
we
like
let
to
them?
hear from you.
Right.
Talk
Right.
trash.
Just-
Talk trash.
Just so
People
that
say I do that.
Yeah, you do.
just so that we're clear, so that we don't get ourselves into, confusion here. I don't see any value in limiting the time that the vendors would, speak, but I think at this point, prior to making a motion, I believe it would be responsible for us to limit the comment to the 3 vendors,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
And that, I'm confident this board needs to make a motion, and they'll probably do so this evening. And once we have a motion, then we'll open up the floor for public comment. Okay?
Hi, Mr. Vickers and council, and thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight, and the residents of Harrison Township. We've been out here for approximately 20 years doing this city. I'm sorry, I'm Bob Z. with Tringali Sanitation. I think that everyone knows me. Sorry about that. Anyways, we've been out in Harrison Township for approximately 20 years. We got this bid 5 years ago, And I'm not here to slander anybody. I just want to make this clear. Slander, put down anybody, my competition, that's not my goal. My goal is to keep this job because we've done everything that you guys have required, and we've been going above and beyond the what you wanted. You guys, there's a difference in the bids, but when we get a rebate check, that could even out, or it could really overwhelm the price that Rizzo gave you. They are the low bid right now, but I believe that with our service and our reputation and what we've already proven our track record, that we should continue to do the job here. We've had a lot of problem with Rizzo. It's not really Rizzo, it's Kinderhook. They're an investment company that offers them a lot of money. They work together. They're doing a great job. They have 40 cities in Michigan, and it's unheard of. They have 40 cities that fast. I'm like, wow, holy cow. You guys are growing like crazy. They asked to buy us out, and we rejected that offer. So now they're coming at us pretty hard. And it's just kind of weird that Mr. Huth is their attorney, your attorney. Then we go on the west side where we got 8 cities that we do, and then Mr. Huth shows up. I just have some kind of feeling that feels like a conflict or an ethical issue that bothers me. Like something's not right. Like when Jack Swatowski came in, Rizzo came in at the 3-year bid, they were the only ones here, and they wanted to take over the contract, and they shot a low ball at you guys and said, we'll give you $300,000, and we're going to do the service for free. I think that was unheard of. I've never heard of just passing out $300,000, $500,000, $1 million. I mean, Mr. Tringali is an expert at this. He's been doing this for over 50 years. And I mean, when you guys call us, Adam, Ken, anybody on council, our office takes care of any situation. And if that don't get resolved, you call myself or Mr. Tringali, we take care of it fast. So for the money value, it seems like a lot on paper, but a low bid and a low ball bid is 2 different scenarios. And I think that they're giving you a low ball bid right now. You want to talk? So what I'm doing is asking for your vote. I'm asking for your vote tonight. And I would like their bid rejected because of the Mr. Huth situation. And I'm not here to put you down. I'm just saying.
That's all you got, Mr. Z. No. When you don't have price, because they're surrounding this community and coming in lower, all you've got is to raise a conflict issue. Right. Why is Waste Management lower than you?
Yeah.
They're not lower than me. They're not lower than me.
Hang on. I'm sorry. What we don't want to do is we don't want to get into banter. I think it's fair to allow everybody to present the information that they have, and then the board has an opportunity to deliberate.
I see you going with Rizzo at every place. I'm not, you're the one following me. I'm not following you.
Yeah, it's best. I'm sorry. It's best, Mr. Z. It's best. It's best if you address the board.
I understand
right?
that. And
I think,
I'm not here to
in all fairness, I think one of the things that's sensitive is, someone who practices law. That reputation is important. We want to avoid that. I mean, you can say the piece that you have to say, but I think it's best to address the board.
And like I said, I have nothing against Mr. Huth. Okay, I'm here to just do our job. I said it was unique that Rizzo, he represents Rizzo, you, and then on the west side of the state.
Sure.
I asked that their bid be rejected and that you vote for Tringali Sanitation.
Okay.
All right, Dominic Tringali Sanitation, 37266 Jefferson, Harrison Township. Made in Harrison, Tringali Sanitation. Not made in China or not made in New Jersey. Not out of Kinderhook. I did it the hard way. I earned it. Okay, it would be like, I don't know how to say this, but if you went to the ball game and Cabrera was up to bat and he was batting 1,000, something's wrong. He's on drugs or something. Now, we're bidding against Rizzo, and you say, well, it's a low bid. But Rizzo's batting 1,000, so I don't know where he's getting all his financing, but they're doing it. And I'm telling you, the price that he gave to the price that we gave, he can't pay his bills. So somebody's going to get burned. There's that pyramid, I don't know how it works, but there's not gonna be enough money when he gets done with the money that he collects to pay and satisfy all of his creditors. I don't know what's going on, but, you know, why does somebody need 40 cities and just want to get a grip on everything? I don't know. You tell me. You don't know who Kinderhook is? You should, maybe should investigate. And I think that if you're gonna give them a contract, you ought to give them one like you gave me. 3 years, and if you like them, you'll give them 2 more. And you have an escape route. If you got an escape route, like, you don't even know who owns Kinderhook. You don't have a list of the stockholders. You got a clause in there, if they sell 10%, it's okay. You can sell 10%. You don't know what Rizzo owns. You know, he could sell all he's got and he's gone. I don't know. You know, does he own 10%, 20%, 50%, 2%? I haven't a clue. But, you know, I mean, these are things that, they're not in there. There was no collusion clause in the contract. There was no list of corporate officers or nothing. The bid was just, seems like they picked up a bid from somewhere and that was the bid that was used. And it didn't really fit everything that we were doing in Harrison. And, you know, the $110,000 administration fee, that's a lot of money. That's 27 cents a week. You're nailing the taxpayer, the garbage collector, the people. I guess you couldn't get a millage, so you put it in there. I call it pork. I guess you guys would be ready to go to Washington next. I don't know. But I'm not happy. But we did our job. We did a good job. And we gave a fair price. I didn't lowball you. I don't lowball anybody. You know, if you can't take the job from me because I do a good job by a few pennies, then you got to make me look bad. And the way to do it is with the money, price. That's all I got to say. I get a little worked up. I'm sorry if but that's the way I'm Sicilian, I guess. It just comes out of me. I'm not happy. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to address something right off the bat.
I think
I'm going to address something right off the bat. Just, Mr. Verkest, I want to address this right now. Mr. Batanti, Mr. Verkest, and myself were on a committee. The only time that Mr. Huth was involved in any of these I'm going to speak. I want to make this clear that there was no collusion. Mr. Huth came, he went through the contract with us, we made some changes to that contract, we brought that contract back to the board, that board approved that contract to go out to bid, that went out to bid to anybody, any interested party. There was actually a meeting held here at the township, I believe it was about 45 days ago, somewhere in there, and everybody was there. I believe Mr. Witt had that meeting. He discussed the bid process with everybody, and then those bids, whoever wanted to bid, those bids came back. Mr. Witt, I believe, opened those sealed bids, and this is what we have. So this was a no collusion process. It was an open process. Everybody had an opportunity to bid that would like to bid, and I'm offended by that
Maybe I
comment.
can say one thing. When I say
not here
non-collusion
for
clause,
Well,
I'm just saying,
you know,
I'm referring
Hey,
to.
hey, hold on, just a minute. Hold on.
I'm just saying what the
Hold on,
process was.
please, Mr. York. When someone presents something and then you say, I must respond, that is in essence a debate. I had tried to discourage you from speaking because I don't want
Well,
to
no,
get
I
in.
think people need
Please,
to
let me
know the
finish. Please,
process,
let me
Mr.
finish.
Verkest.
Let me finish. There's an
Mr. Verkest,
opportunity.
You have plenty of time to talk. I made my statement, and that's that. I don't need to be babysat by you.
I'm not trying to
I'm a big
babysit.
boy, Mr. Verkest.
Mr. York, please. I'm not trying to babysit anybody. I'm not trying to stifle comment from anybody. What I'm simply suggesting is that as opposed to engaging in debate or discussion or response to each person who presents, we know that there are 3 vendors here. Let them present their information, and then when we're done with that, their comment portion, we can close that portion, and then everyone has a chance to address. But I don't want to get into a situation where
There's
each
an
person...
allegation of collusion. I just wanted to point out what the process was, so everybody understands where it was, how the timeline.
I understand. And I wrote notes.
Well-
I
that's
wish
it.
to address it as well. I'm just trying to get through this in a
Just
little
one,
more orderly
one
fashion.
comment. When I say non-collusion, I'm talking about the haulers getting together and me telling my Goombati to put in a bid for me, make yours a little bit higher, make mine a little bit lower, and that's what I'm talking about. You know, then that should be, I wasn't saying Mr. Hoot did anything wrong. I'm just saying a non-collusion. Bob's Polish, I'm Italian. He gets mad at different things. And Mr. Hoot is an attorney. I understand.
Just wanted to clear up that.
Well, I
guideline.
want you to understand what it means. Non-collusion means nobody got together. Yeah, any party, him, me, Rizzo, Waste Management, Republic. I didn't tell Republic not to bid, you know, I could have given them a, say, don't bid, I'll skip the next bid, let you have it, you let me, that's how that goes. But I mean, there was a few things missing, and the contract has changed. You know, like you guys, I worked out here for 20, 25 years. And I knew I could do the job. I never had any, you get any complaints in 5 years? I mean, you got people that call up want free brush shipping. Okay, free brush shipping. Yeah, call me the second Tuesday of every week and I'll get it. You know, and then when I get there, say, well, that's not outright. You didn't have it close enough to the road. I mean, there's always, you know, what are the guidelines that they're going to take all this free stuff? How long does it take to get a free can? Can I put the can out to the curb if it's not full? That's got to be full. You can't put it out there half full. I hear these stories. I see them in the paper, and I got articles here from Washington Township. My price is cheaper than what they get right now in Washington Township. But when they came here, they got to take a good aim at me because you know, I'm going to be fair, and they know it. They not just can't beat me by a penny or two. They got to make me look bad, and that's what they're doing. You know, I fight hard, and that's all I got to say. You know, I can't think right now. You got me going.
Well,
Thank
that's
you.
all right. Thank you very much. Is there any other vendor that might wish to address the board?
Yes, hi, Chuck Rizzo, Rizzo Environmental. Just a couple of things I just want to clarify. We're currently doing Clinton Township, which is one of your neighboring communities. Same type of deal where they put the waste collection on the water bill, and we're doing them for, I want to say, $10. So your price that we quoted was around $11.60-some cents per unit per month. So just to give you an idea, he commented about Washington Township. Washington Township's one of those where we have to bill everybody individually and hope we get paid, and then every year you put on a tax roll. So there's just some differences in the way the job's being done. St. Clair Shores, we're actually performing those services under $9. We recently bid, the city of Romulus and Waste Management won that bid, so we don't win them all. It's just one of those things. We questionably, I want to say 7 years ago, were the lowest bidder when we bid this, but it was pretty close, and you know, I think at the time, due to Mr. Tringali being a resident of the community, they sort of chose to go in his direction, which I understood. Then 2 years ago, we heard about the extension again. Being involved in the original bid, we sort of knew the timeline of when contracts were up, so we tried again to fight for your community. We'd be honored to serve you guys. We've been fighting for 7 years to earn your business. Very confident in our pricing, very confident in our references, very confident that we will perform everything to 100% satisfaction. We use new trucks, we pay our drivers well. My dad's celebrated 50 years being in the business. I'm the largest single shareholder in the company. I'm the CEO of the company. I make all the decisions for the company. And we have some other investors in our business, and that's what's helped us expand and grow. And we've also purchased some recycling facilities, so now we have our own recycling division. There is no really waste company that does as much recycling as we do. That's why we're giving the 65-gallon recycling containers. We're trying to promote recycling as much as possible and divert from the landfills. Currently, we don't own any landfills. So generally speaking, if the Detroit incinerator is operating, pretty much going to divert all your waste from, you'll be landfill free. I'm not sure where the waste is going today, but that's another advantage. We have a rewards for recycling program. which helps, again, expand the recycling. Our chipping services are, they're included in our pricing, and that service will be done monthly. Residents will be able to call ahead, though, if they need it done prior, they can call ahead. We will schedule that service the immediate business day, anybody who calls in, and then automatically we will go by every single resident on a monthly schedule. We've done this in several other communities, and it works very well. So again, our synergies is sort of the savings to the community. We do Chesterfield, Clinton Township, and St. Clair Shores, Roseville, and East Point. So all these communities that surround you really is the benefit of what you're seeing in pricing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Good evening, Mr. Supervisor, members of the board. My name is Patrick Greavy. I'm with Waste Management. Our yard closest to your township is located at 22650 Stevenson in Clinton Township, not too far from where we are this evening. I appreciate a few moments to speak with you this evening. Mr. York, I think, gave a pretty good summary of the bid, that essentially all the basic components were covered by all the bidders in terms of trash, recycling, and yard waste. Mr. Verkest, thank you for mentioning we did have the Recycle Bank Rewards program in there. It's a nationally renowned program. You've probably heard about it in the news or what have you in some of the other communities, Sterling Heights, Rochester Hills, places like that around here. What the program does is it allows residents, it encourages them to recycle, allows them to gain rewards in the forms of coupons and discounts. The program even has an online store where you can go on to the website that's associated with the program and redeem your points, order an item, and it'll be shipped right to your home. So it's becoming more and more robust. In some instances, excuse me, the program is able to return a decent portion of the cost that the resident has to obtain their services just for recycling. And so it ranges from anywhere in the neighborhood of $130 to $150 per year that somebody can recoup through the use of that program if they're actively involved in recycling and signed up for the rewards program. So it's a pretty decent program, allows the resident an opportunity to, you know, get something more than just the service at the curb for the dollars that they're spending. I am here this evening to answer any of your questions that you may have about our proposal, if any. We tried to lay it out in there in a concise format for you so you could fairly evaluate it. With that, finally, I'd just like to thank you for the opportunity to consider your community, to bid for your work. We certainly would love to provide the service to you if that's what you see fit as board members, and I'll await your decision. If there are any questions, I'll be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. We've heard from the vendors, so if it's appropriate at this time, we'll close the floor. I think if there's any questions that board members have, I'm sure the vendors would be willing to come back to the podium and address that. I made some notes, and I would like to comment on a few of the things. The first individual we heard from was Bob Z. and Mr. Dominic Tregali from Tregali. He pointed out service. I'll begin by saying that for 4 of the 5 years that he's provided waste hauling services, I've been in the supervisor's office, and I think in many cases, whether it's a complaint or a compliment, they tend to come to my office. And I will first say the level of service that Tringali has provided is, I don't know if it could be any better. I've had folks go out of their way to say, I was about to put my trash out in the morning, the phone rang when I was at the front door. It was my son or daughter, they forgot their lunch, something happened at school. By the time I finished the call, I remembered the trash was on the porch. I went out to try to catch the truck, only to realize that the gentleman on the truck noticed the trash, came up to the porch, picked it up, and threw it in the truck without even being asked. I've had examples where people have said that the employees specifically will take, that special effort to go for maybe a senior resident or someone who's a little limited in their mobility, go into their garage, get the receptacle for them, or pick up their trash for them, return the receptacle. I won't belabor the point. Suffice it to say that in those 4 years, I've received countless compliments. And for someone to take the time to call, I'm sure for every time that someone's calling, that's happened a dozen other times that people just take it for granted. So there's no doubt that Mr. Tringali and his company and his employees have done a great job. I understand the nature of having an attorney be in a position where there could be two people involved. Now, it does happen from time to time. I think Mr. Huth has been pretty forthright with this board and certainly with me in pointing out that relationship. The thing that I look at is this: if I happen to be an attorney and I represented St. Clair Shores, I can't possibly, for example, say that I'll represent no one else on earth. So if I also happen to represent, I don't know, an accounting firm, and that accounting firm ends up being a vendor to St. Clair Shores, I don't think it's reasonable that I have to say, well, I can no longer represent them. I just have to make clear the position that I'm in. But I know Mr. York felt very spirited in what he said, and I'll certainly echo the comment that through this process, I can't even think of a way that Mr. Huth could have influenced this board, but I certainly know of no way that was a factor. There was a discussion made about 3 years or 5 years, and I don't know if any board member has a comment, but I'll close with the Tringali. He said, someone's trying to make me look bad, and from the almost 5 years that I've worked with Mr. Tringali and his employees, I don't know of anybody that could make him look bad. I thought he did a very good job during that term. So there was a comment made regarding the administrative fee, and during Mr. Rizzo's comments, he pointed out that the amount that he charges in one community versus another is different sometimes due to the collections process. And what we found is over the 5 years that we've managed this single waste hauling, we found that we have in fact incurred some costs, some additional labor, and some additional steps to provide that service. And when we looked at it, we found that having the township collect is still cheaper and more efficient than having the vendor collect. But it was pointed out that Rizzo was a competitive bid. I know there was a little discussion 4 or 5 years ago, or I guess it was 5 years ago when this bid, we went through this bid, because there was one way of looking at it over the long haul. One was a better deal, but ultimately I do believe the board at that time was influenced, I think rightfully so, on a rather close bid by the fact that Mr. Tringali is a resident. We did receive references for Mr. Tringali. I don't think we needed them for Tringali Sanitation. I did receive references personally from supervisors in neighboring communities that have Rizzo, and I'd received positive comments from them as well. And I don't know that it was mentioned, or if it was, maybe it wasn't mentioned clearly, but Rizzo does also have the recycling incentive program. It may not be identical to what Waste Management offers, but they do have an incentive program whereby residents that participate receive credit. They have an online account, and they can redeem those points or that credit for coupons, discounts, gift cards, that sort of thing. And then certainly throughout the bidding process, Waste Management and the representation have been very good. Even though Waste Management doesn't service us, I think through some of the discussions about some of the other projects and the discussion that was had at one time about a landfill, a possible additional landfill, Waste Management and their representative proved to be very knowledgeable. I don't have any particular references, but I don't go into this process thinking that any one of these three vendors are incapable of providing the services that we've asked for in this bid. I don't know if there's any other comments.
Well, the last time we had this up for bid, that was what, a few years?
It was
6 years ago.
Well, it was a little bit more than 5, so we'll say it was before Christmas, right?
We just had this.
Right?
It's like
while I
5.5
was on the
years
board.
ago.
Yeah.
We had the 2, then the 2-year tail,
Right.
remember?
Right, and I voted for Rizzo at that time. I think that Waste Management, I think Rizzo, and I think Tringali, all three have the resources to do the job. They're all excellent providers for their communities. Rizzo and Waste Management are certainly huge companies. They have a lot of municipalities, which reflects the fact that they're certainly resourceful enough to get the job done. We're not a very big community compared to some of the communities that they service. I do think that as a representative of the township residents, I have to say, I don't think there's a resident out there that really likes to pay for this. They'd probably throw a parade if we give this to them for free. So I would say that my vote will be based on price, period, because they're all gonna be resourceful enough to get the job done.
All right.
I apologize if I was being a little spirited. I just, I just wanted to throw that out there that is pretty.
We understand. I get a little testy.
But in all honesty, I've talked to Mr. Z on a few occasions, not very many, but, I've always been right there to help the resident. Within an hour, problem solved.
I had the phone ring and someone ordered a cart, and I had it delivered, and they say, I just hung the phone up.
Like Jimmy John's. Any other board comment?
I did have one question for Mr. Rizzo concerning the recycling program. Mr. York made a reference that, and I don't think he meant to be specific, but to the effect that all the companies would be giving rewards. I wasn't clear on the Rizzo reward program, and Mr. Tringali has said that they were going to refund us some of the money based on the recycling. I think Waste Management has been pretty clear on what their recycling program is. I was just like Mr. Rizzo, if you could come up and just explain the recycling program, and if we do benefit monetarily or any other way from the recycling program.
Great. Oh, no. Right. Understood. That's a fair question.
Yeah, thank you. The rewards for recycling that we're using is very similar to Recycle Bank, which what Waste Management was describing. Basically, it's sort of like a Facebook meets Groupon. People are able to go online if they're recycling and they're a part of the program and they sign up for it. And as they recycle more, they get access to coupons, and they're able to post and ask questions sort of online. They're also able to call. There's a separate customer service for the rewards, for recycling, sort of a hotline for them. And people can earn up to, quite a bit of money, quite a bit of savings. It also goes to local businesses and promotes with all the local businesses as far as your ability to get access to the coupons as you recycle more. Promotes local businesses so that the local businesses get more advertising out. We also would do a good outreach. There'd be a separate mailer for the rewards program, so all the residents would get a separate mailer, and we do blast emails, just constantly trying to get the program out in front of everybody. And our goal is to try to get as many people signed up as possible so that they're accessing and they're a part of the program and they're recycling. Gives them a chance again to ask questions, clarify what can and can't be recycled, but it gives them, the big benefit is the coupons, and they're able to get not only the local businesses but national chains, so they're able to get, there's access to Kroger's and Target and all those brands, and they're all part of, again, same type of, basically rewards for recycling as Recycle Bank's, competitors. So these two programs where Waste Management uses Recycle Bank, and we're using the Rewards for Recycling program. And we use it currently in several communities.
Can I ask a question on that?
But if I could finish.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Just one other question on that, and maybe I wasn't clear when I read it, but it sounded like the recycling program is curbside every week that your garbage is picked up without any interaction, no clicking on the computer or any of that? Because I thought I read something where you click on the computer and say you have recycling for that week.
Yeah, it's pretty much activated throughout the entire you know, we advertise to basically
But
sign up, but it's
As a
not,
resident, I don't have to click every time.
no, no, you do not. No,
That's-
it's not.
That's just for the coupons and some of the other interaction.
Yeah, it's more of a, I guess that's the major difference. You don't generally, it doesn't have to activate the chip in so many, you know, tons of recycling that you actually are generating, gives you the availability to those coupons. We sort of say, once you sign up with the rewards and you're part of the emails and the literature that comes out, and you're basically, once the on switch is on, you have access to as much as you need. And it just creates less customer confusion, it creates less phone calls, it creates, you know, people from saying, why isn't my account act up, I did recycle, so that's the part that's a little cleaner.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Jared.
Yeah, I think.
No, actually, I was just gonna ask, you asked most of the question, but do they at curbside say, you know, the York household, they had 3 pounds of recyclables today, or how
No.
do they do that?
It's basically, once you sign up with the program, the account's activated.
Okay.
Yeah, it's self-reporting in that regard.
So now, do I get an incentive, like if I say I put a ton of recycling out, literally 2,000 pounds, do I get more coupons?
Well, yeah. Yeah, again, it's one of those things where once you are recycling, the switch is on, so
Gotcha.
you get access to everything you need. And then, but we have, you know, we catalog, and we can tell you from this day we start, and we track the recycling every week throughout the entire contract. And we always do that. We collectively, you know, do the, you know, for however many tons of waste, yard waste and recycling, so that you can see the difference. If you wanted to inquire and say, how's the rewards or how's the larger carts worked for the residents, and we can give you that information from time to time.
Just sort of in the same vein, just so, I know it's a unique thing, but I know I was talking to somebody from Rochester Hills, and the way Waste Management does it is it actually, it weighs how much you put out there, and that's how much your rewards are based off of. And so this is just self-reporting, so do you take the total tonnage of the township, divide it out, and say, here's what everyone gets, or if only one person recycles, they only get a little, you know what I mean, like, how does that work?
It's really once you're signed up,
So it doesn't matter how much anyone
you know,
recycles,
and you get
if
the
everyone
larger,
says-
yeah, our goal is to get you the larger recycling cart and understand, you know, what it is that you can and can't put out there. And then that promotion of recycling sort of is the on button.
Okay.
Again, so there's no limit to your ability to get as many coupons as you would want to get. So you literally, if somebody really wants to use the system, they can get a lot of, you know, they probably could get, you know, anywhere from $300 to $500 worth of value, you know, in a few months of it at a time if they really used it the right way. Again, you just have to follow where, you know, what days and what promotions are going on at that time.
Still not clear what you put out and how you get that, not to me.
Yeah, well, let's say this, maybe it would be, because this is I think, maybe one way for us to understand it, is there some way to quantify what an average home is? I know that's difficult to say, some people recycle, some recycle. You could have a home with 8 people in it, you could have a home with 2 people in it, but perhaps a home that has 4 residents and, you know, a moderate or average amount of trash, you know, can you quantify they get a, you know, a trip to Maui, or they get a, you know, candy bar, you know, I mean, something
Yeah.
to.
Well, Don, if you want to, Don's done a lot of the rollouts.
Yep.
So,
What we do is, we take a look at participation every day, every week, every month, every year. And how we know how many people use the Rewards for Recycling program is we take the number of hits that they get in any given month. And we can tell pretty closely on, yeah, 4 out of every 10 homes put recycling containers out.
Okay.
And 4 out of every 10 homes called to get the rewards program. Now the average home right now puts out about 5.25 pounds of recycling a day. So, or a week, I'm sorry.
week, yeah.
So, you know, we can tell pretty much who's recycling and how much it is. Nobody weighs carts right now individually, where you may have 15 pounds out today, and Mr. York may have 5 pounds out today, you're still gonna, both are gonna get the same benefit.
Gotcha.
And
But
that's
some of
just-
them are chip-based, where they sense literally chip number 327. That, I think maybe that's maybe what some.
I'm not even sure
program-
Rochester Hill does that.
Okay.
Because I, you know, in everything that I've seen, they take the weight for the week and distribute it based on their participation rate. If they even check to see what it is. The only-
And then can you quantify, I mean, is this a $5 coupon off for a trip to Kroger, or is this, you know, 50 cents, you know, I mean, what would a typical reward be?
We found that most people that use our rewards program, which there are several, that their average savings throughout the year is about $500 in either discounts or coupons.
I see.
And we even occasionally give out gift cards, you know, based on what happens during the month. It'll go to the township.
I see.
So they're just downloadable coupons. It's not, you had said Groupon, so I just want to make sure, like, that's I buy a coupon.
No, it doesn't cost them anything. It's not
Okay,
buying.
but he said Groupon, and Groupon you buy the coupon,
But
and
just
then
a-
I just want to make sure.
Yep,
Yeah.
kind of a
Yeah, I
guideline.
was using an analogy.
No, that's
that
fine.
it's
I
like
just-
Facebook meets
When I don't
Groupon,
understand
but
something, I go back to the
it's
analogy
for-
and try to
yeah,
sort it out.
when you, as you recycle and as it's self-reporting, from that point, the button's on. You know,
I
like,
got
so once the switch is on, you have full access to download and print all the coupons that are within that site. So basically, you would just search and look for everything. So you're not limited to anything is the point.
Okay,
You don't have to wait till next week when you recycle more.
great.
You know, you're automatically, and then the other thing we do is we do an outreach through the cable channels.
Yes, hang it. I'm having a hard time hearing, and this guy's got a microphone.
So we do also do we do an outreach, not only the mailers and the blast emails, but we do advertising on the local cable channels for the township through the local businesses. So it's more of a outreach. And again, it is self-reporting, but once you're on the site, you've signed in, sort of like you would sign in for a Facebook, and you sign up and you activate your account, then you got the green light to download and print out all the available coupons.
Gotcha. Okay. Any other questions on that? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, board members, is there?
One more thing, please.
Sure, sure.
I get coupons in the mail, they call it value pack, okay. I want you to understand, the recycling market is like completely upside down. When we started, we used to get paid for the recycled material. Then we started paying for it. Currently, we pay $37 a ton to get rid of it, recycling, because there's no market, nowhere to go. That's how it is right now. So to say they're gonna get a $500 savings on recycling, well, you should be paying the township to pick up then. You're gonna get that much money back. I mean, it's just, it sounds good, but believe me, it's gonna be a long time before you start making money recycling. Yeah, you can go out and get people to give you coupons so that you generate business for the, you know, like, go in and get one meal, pay full price, get the second one half price. Yeah, I can get you those coupons all day long. It's really, you know, you get them all day long in the mail. So, I don't know, if you wanna, it sounds good. So just don't let you think you know, you're, I don't know, you figure it out. Thank you.
Sure.
All I have to say is we've provided the job that you requested. Low bidder should not get the job, because we don't know what we're gonna end up giving you with the rewards program at the end. So we've proven ourselves. We're at the starting gate. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that sometimes when we discuss some of these reward programs, the amount of savings or the amount of value, that sort of a thing, I think it could be likened to saying, for example, maybe I eat at restaurant X and there's a 20% off coupon. Well, heck, if I go there and spend $200, that's a $40 value. Not everybody spends $200. You might not spend any there, but I think when we try to quantify the value of coupons or incentives, you know, depends, it could have a different impact for different families.
And I don't think that's gonna be the deciding factor. It's
Right.
just, it's a new item that we had some questions.
Some additional, there's likely to be, from any of these incentives, there's likely to be some value to some of our residents some of the time.
Sure.
And it may result in a greater amount of recycling, which, although that might not necessarily show in the amount we pay per month or per year, for some of our residents, they may say, well, you know, I feel better about a program that encourages folks to recycle because I know that that's that much less material that's ending up in a landfill, and it has an environmental value. So encouraging folks to recycle has other benefits beside those incentives, but this is just something additional. Did you have further comment? Sorry.
No, I just wanted to clarify that due to the huge amount of recycling that we do, we actually do have a value in our recycling. We're not paying to get rid of it. So we handle over 25,000 tons of recyclables a month, and it's been a good business for us. So I just wanted to state that. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, good. All right, excellent.
May I make a comment?
Once we make a motion, we'll open up the floor for public comment.
No, because
Anybody have any other questions?
Yeah, is there any other discussion?
I'm ready to make a
I'll
motion.
make a motion.
Okay.
All right.
I'll make a motion to select Rizzo Environmental Services as the single waste hauler for Harrison Township for the period of May 2nd, 2015 through May 2nd, 2018 with a 2-year extension.
I believe our contract, we went out to bid for 5 years.
Okay, so then I'll revoke that to, through May 2nd, 2020. I was gonna change it to
Yeah,
a 2-year
understood.
extension.
Yep.
To direct the supervisor and attorney to execute the contract with the hauler. If we could do a 2-year extension, I think that's what I would prefer, but.
Sure, all right, well, first we'll see if we have support.
I'll support.
Okay,
I'm with Dave. I'm just solely basing this on price, throwing everything as equal.
Right.
Waste Management, Tringali, Rizzo. I think I said that the last time we were here. And I think all three companies will give the citizens
Right.
good service. And I'm just,
Tringali did a good job, but that's what they were paid to
they
do.
did a great job.
So,
Mr. Supervisor, if I could just ask for clarification
Yep.
that the motion is for a 5-year contract?
well, what I was gonna do actually was, I was gonna ask Mr. Huth, just a confirmation so the board understands. I think that the idea of 3 + 2 was something that was interjected into the last process, but currently the bid request that we had was for a 5-year period.
That's
so
correct.
we'll keep
Right.
it 5 years then.
Right, and I believe that some of the hesitation that this board, or, you know, some of this board, and what our township experienced 5 years ago, was whether or not we wanted to have a single waste hauler. We were embarking on a new concept, and there were residents at that time that felt that the best choice would be to allow each resident to choose their own hauler. So I think that in anticipation of that, there was a discussion about having an opt-out. But at this point, the bid request was for a 5-year period,
Correct.
right? Is that?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we've discussed this at length, but I don't know, is there any board discussion or comment? Hearing none, we'll open up the floor for public comment.
William Bardell, 18-year resident. Now, when the parameters of this was set, and we said that we're gonna utilize the bins we got, and we didn't wanna be like Shelby Township and have 3 96-gallon dumpsters on the side of our house like Shelby Township has, one for garbage, one for recycle, one for compost. We were gonna utilize the cans we got, and now what Rizzo's gonna give us and then we drew up the parameters, and I sat here at the meeting, and we were gonna have tags for recycle bins, and we had the parameters. Now, it didn't come back here to get reapproved, and I'm just wondering what, I know it's pretty romantic with the, you know, I don't know if you're getting new recycle bins, but I don't got room for a 96 or a 65-gallon recycle bin. I got a little red bin, and I put the heavy stuff on top with my newspapers, and when I look at the weather report, if it's windy, I put the heavy stuff on top. It's not real complicated for me. I don't need a 96-gallon or a 69-gallon recycle bin. I don't need it. I'll take my hacksaw and cut it up, and I'll recycle it. I don't need it. I've already got a 96-gallon dumpster in my garage. So I'm just wondering, are we gonna be like Shelby Township and have all these dumpsters on the side of our house? I thought we already drew up the parameters and decided that we weren't gonna be like Shelby Township. We were gonna utilize what we've got. And if you want a recycle bin, you order a recycle bin, you know, 30, 40, 50, whatever it is. Or if you need a dumpster, you order a dumpster. And we're gonna utilize what we got. Or are we all just gonna have 15 dumpsters on the side of our house? I know it's pretty romantic. I mean, I know it's nice, it's a low bidder, I like that, but the parameters were drawn that we didn't need all these. And if you wanted to order one, you could order one and they could be delivered. So when did this change and when was this approved? I didn't see it at the meeting approved here. So just wondering when the bid.
I'm sorry, Mr. Bardell, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I don't want, I know that you're
Okay.
sensitive of your time, we'll give you a
Right.
little time. I just want to answer that
Okay.
question. It's spelled out in the bid proposal. It says upon request by a resident that they would like a new 64-gallon recycling cart, the cart will be assembled and delivered usually 7
And
to
that
10
hasn't changed.
It's not a requirement, they're merely.
That's not what I heard
authorizing
from
it.
Rizzo. Rizzo's gonna come out and give everybody a bin.
I understand, we respect your time, I just
Okay.
didn't want you to ask.
Just wanna make sure
several
that,
times when it's-
that there's not gonna be more stuff that we're already overwhelmed with. If you
Right.
want one, you get one.
Correct.
I mean, I don't know, you could never produce that much garbage. I don't, I mean, if it's a windy day, I mean, I got a little red thing, I put the heavy stuff on top. It's not that complicated. I just don't want us to end up like Shelby Township with all the dumpsters all over the place. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Bill Servil, resident. First off, I'd like to state that Mr. Tringali has done an excellent job, and I have nothing against him, although I support this motion because business is business. Mr. Rizzo seems to be offering more for less money. But I would like to point out a couple of inconsistencies. Mr. Tringali did state that he was going to give us some money back from the recyclables, and then later on he stated that he pays $37 a ton to get rid of them. So I don't see where we're going to get any money back from him on that respect. I don't know that that's an issue, as Mr. Witt pointed out. I don't know that's a real issue. For me, the issue is that we're getting an administrative fee, which we should have gotten 2 years ago, which we should have gotten 5 years ago. On that vein, if I'm not mistaken, my understanding was the reason why that $300,000, $100,000 a year was offered by Rizzo 2 years ago was because they already did that with Chesterfield. They found that they didn't want to collect the money from the residents, and they'd rather have the community collect it, and they had already offered it. At that time, someone that's no longer here said that that might be a bribe. It's ridiculous to think that. This board had good sense enough to put an administration fee on because technically I believe that we were violating the rules. Water and Sewer is an enterprise fund, and there was some cost involved in using them. I know it might be minor, but technically speaking, we should have been billing for it right off the get-go. So at any rate, I support this. And just to clarify, I believe Mr. Rizzo stated he would supply an 18-gallon to everyone, which is the small containers like we have now and like we had from Waste Management back before Mr. Tringali took over. I believe he supplied the red ones we have now. So I believe that's what he's supplying. They do get broken up. Myself, I believe that the 65-gallon is a good idea. Governor Snyder just this week came out with an initiative saying that we only recycle 15%, and I believe the average nationwide is like 35%. We're not doing nearly enough. So I'm all in favor of a bigger container and more things that go in there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Linda Karczewski, resident. I live in Marillac, and I do have to say the trash haulers that we have now have done a wonderful job. And I would like to tell him that he had wonderful gentlemen that come down our street. I do recycle. I recycle probably more than anybody else does. We recycle 100% in our house. And they have never complained about picking up anything. And they have gone out of their way. They have put my containers back in my driveway. There are a few neighbors that have complaints with some of them, but I have to say I had wonderful service. And since we're getting a new company, I hope they give us the same service. One of the questions we did have from the beginning, we didn't have with his trucks, but I'm hoping with the new company, you do address that, especially in the summertime, all the leakage that comes out of the trucks that come down the streets, and it just smells really bad. And I do have to say, with the company we have, they have taken care of that. So that was one of the problems they have. The other question I do have is, please ask, since we do live in ditches, we have a lot of ditches in this neighborhood, when our new company starts putting the containers back, please don't have them next to the ditches. Make sure they were back into the driveway, because we have a lot of elderly residents that it's very hard to take the cans out of the ditches. So that's the only thing I ask.
Thank you.
Jim Senstock, 31698 San Juan. I believe the board's making the correct decision as far as going for the low price. Everybody had the opportunity to bid on this. Everybody took their best shot. I believe Rizzo with his and if anybody remembers, I was not a Rizzo fan the first time you guys come through. So, but I believe that he's proven himself in the surrounding areas, and the best price is the best price. But I do have a couple questions. I'm going through, and I recognize that this is probably not the complete bid package that came, but I want to just make sure that if I put out 5 cans, because I have a lot of garbage one week, that all of them are going to get picked up. Nowhere do I see that in this write-up here, that they're going to pick up all trash that's placed at the curb in a weekly basis. Currently, Tringali does that. Just want to make sure that that is clarified. Secondly, it says they will provide 196-gallon wheeled cart to residents who request one during the first 12 months. And I imagine it'll probably be a different color than the other ones that we have. I don't know what color they use out there, but will they allow us to continue to use, I have the green containers now, they all date all the way back to Waste Management, and they're still in good shape. And are they going to be capable of picking those up? Those are the kind that grab the handle in the front and flip them into the thing. Is Rizzo capable of dealing with that kind of a can, and will I be able to keep those cans? Additionally, I also, though if I get one of these 96-gallon Rizzo cans, I may not have to use them. I have multiple little cans that I sometimes have filled up, and do they handle the little cans, the little standard garbage cans? I don't see that in here. I just want to make sure you guys get that clarified. I think that's pretty much it. The cans, the whatever. You probably think I generate a lot of garbage because I talked about so many cans, but there's sometimes I only put out 1 can or so. Some weeks I hardly, in fact, today nothing went out in the garbage at my house. So I just want to make sure everything's covered. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other public comment, we'll close the floor for public comment and move back to board comment. I'm looking here, utilize existing containers. Some wanted larger containers. I'm trying to remember. I think the comment was regarding the smaller containers, or whether or not for recycling. If you have an existing recycling container, it's acceptable. There were residents during the comments period, when we asked people to email us suggestions or requests, or you know, sometimes folks say, well, my brother-in-law lives in this community and they have this service. Some folks expressed an interest in having a larger recycling container. So the proposal from Rizzo says, upon request, free of charge, a 64-gallon wheeled recycling cart. By its very nature, since it's upon request, if I don't request one, I can't believe they expect me to just leave it in the lawn. I think they'll accept the 18-gallon containers. I believe that it may be that it was in the Tringali proposal that they said that they would provide a new one to every new homeowner, something along those lines. There was a question regarding refunding money. Tringali says they'll refund money from recycling. I'll try to clarify that. Within the proposal from Tringali, it says any and all money received for the value of recycling material will be given to Harrison Township. Harrison Township may use that for any program of their choice. I think the idea is that if at some point in the future there's value to the recycling materials, Tringali saying in our cost we included the cost to pick it up. If it turns out that the recycling materials are gold and there's value to it, you know, we'll return those funds. That's the way I read their proposal. I think part of the concern that this board had in the past with a proposal for an administrative fee is that we felt, at least some board members, as they said it, felt that the best way to talk about an administrative fee was through a competitive bidding process where everybody who said that they would like to bid on this knew what the ground rules were for that administrative fee. I think that was where the concern came up with adding the admin fee in halfway through someone else's contract. We had a contract, we had a provider that was given good service. They offered to reduce their costs, and we said at that time, if some residents or board members may recall, when we have a chance to ask everybody all at once in an open process to submit a bid, at that point, we're most comfortable saying, all right, now we're comparing apples to apples. I said we do have a resident and former board member here who, if my memory serves me correct, coined the term garbage juice.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
And one of the residents asked about that. In fact, that isn't in the proposals, but in prior board packets, we did include the bid specs. And one of the things we did, although I don't know that we called it garbage juice in the bid spec, we probably used a fancier term to describe that, but that is one of the requirements. So, for example, everyone who bid on this package or this service has to provide a certain level of liability insurance. They provided us a copy of their liability insurance. It's sort of like boilerplate language. We said you've got to have trucks that are functional and they're not messy. You've got to have courteous employees, and there's a whole series of things listed. And specific to that, to answer another resident's question, one resident pointed out, what if I put out 5 cans? Will they all be picked up? Or what if I have old cans or smaller cans? Will they be serviced? The bid spec says that it acknowledges that people put their waste out in various containers, and the waste hauler is required to pick that up. The limitation to that would be construction waste. There are certain prohibited items that you can't put in the waste stream, and that's not unique to, I think, to our community or to our haulers. If someone says, I've got my 96-gallon container and it's full of crushed concrete, that's a little bit different. So I don't think the volume of trash is the concern in our bid spec, but we do acknowledge that the hauler has the right to reject certain kinds of trash in the waste stream that simply doesn't belong in a residential waste stream. So those were some of the comments or answers the best I could. I don't know if there's other board comment.
Just, I think if there is a change and there's some feedback from the residents, make sure you let us know, because that's how, within the contract, we have tools to enforce the provisions that are in here to guarantee good service for the residents. So call the supervisor's office. I was in there 5 years ago, and there's always some change, some growing pains. You know, if we get those phone calls, we're able to reach out and make sure things get corrected. So,
any other board comment?
Mr. Supervisor, I just have a question for Mr. Rizzo, if I could.
Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Earl, so if I was a resident and I currently owned a 65-gallon container, and I called to get a 96-gallon container for my garbage, do you offer a recycling sticker rather than using my 65-gallon container I currently have and sort of repurpose that to a recycling cart rather than buying another one, so I don't have to have 3 carts?
A recycled recycling container.
So I guess that's my question. Rather than calling you and saying, please deliver me a 65-gallon container that says recyclable, would I be able to get a sticker that says recyclable that I can put on that and repurpose that container?
Yeah, we could give you, it says recycle only.
Again, I'm just trying to be
Yes.
environmentally friendly, and I
Yeah,
don't want 3 cans at the house.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
we've done that before for residents.
Would that be a true statement?
Yes.
I would be able to get recycling stickers and
Yes.
repurpose my current 65-gallon container.
Yes.
Thank you.
And just as a suggestion on the same vein, maybe those stickers could be available at the township, and if you need one, you come pick one up.
That's a good idea.
Yes. Yeah, we could do that, definitely. And again, just to clarify a few other things that were brought up, all the carts and containers that are throughout the entire community would be serviced. So it wouldn't matter. There's a lot of different colored carts. We would service them as part of the bid specs.
Are the stickers printed on recycled paper? Just wondering.
Also, if somebody wanted just an 18-gallon, a new 18-gallon, it's within our proposal, we'd supply those for free.
Okay. All right, good. Any other?
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Any other questions or discussion, board members? Hearing none, we have a motion by Mr. Brado with support by Mr. York to select Rizzo Environmental Services as the single waste hauler for Harrison Township for the period of May 2nd, 2015 through May 2nd, 2020, and to direct the supervisor and attorney to execute the contract with the hauler. I will point out, May 2nd is the Saturday, literally May 1st is a Friday, so that start and end date is logical. May 1st is literally a Friday, so, and then I did look, May 2nd of 2020 is a Friday, so we're not stopping service in the middle of a week, in the middle of a cycle. So, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, board, and thank you to all of the vendors that submitted a bid.
Thank you for the good service the last 5 years.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is item D from the Water and Sewer Department. So we have our water and sewer leader here, Mr. Axtell. Mr. Axtell, can you tell the board about item D?
Sorry. Yes, this is just a simple request. We purchase our meters from Michigan Meter, who is Neptune's supplier for the area, the only place we can buy the meters. This is basically to replace stock from the winter months, obviously another nasty winter. Some frozen meters, we replaced some frozen meters, and we have been replacing some meters. We actually have been installing a few new, not so much over the winter. We do have new houses on the docket for this year, which is great. Approximately right now, it's over 20 new homes that are being proposed, so that's good news for the township. And then the larger meters are for the larger complex that a larger meter supplies multiple dwellings, and they are obviously much more expensive meters, and that's giving us an opportunity to upgrade them to the newer meters because they are quite aged.
All right, so some of these meters are for commercial, we might say, or for larger volume applications, but all of these are ultimately being purchased with the goal of reselling them.
Absolutely, that, and yes, and so they will be going into service, and we will be actually making our money back. That some of these meters will actually pay for the meters I'm purchasing.
Right.
I have lots of records, which is at another time I will be coming to the board in another aspect with these larger meters to explain this with a program that Mr. Murphy and Mr. Ryan have spearheaded for me they have done a great job in bringing this forward, and there's much more to come. Let's just say that.
All right, sounds good. Discussion, board members?
Motion to approve the purchase of water meters from Michigan Meter Technologies Group Incorporated in the amount of $20,678.
Support.
Support. Oh, sorry.
All right, got a motion by Mr. Tominello, support by Mr. Witt to
Nope,
purchase.
that was Mr. Batanti. He
Oh.
beat me.
I missed it, sorry. Okay. I was distracted. Discussion, board members? Hearing none and seeing no public comment, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, board.
Thank you, board members.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, item E1 is regarding a fireworks permit. Mr. Witt?
Yes, the clerk's office received a application from Wolverine Fireworks Display for their 2015 fireworks show at Lake St. Clair Metro Park. They completed the state's application, provided us with their certificate of insurance in the amount of $5 million, listing us as an additional insured. All the necessary paperwork is in order. The fire chief has reviewed this application and didn't have any objections. His letter's there for you. We do stage 1 ambulance and 1 fire engine on site. The cost of that is covered by the Metro Park. And we also do a site plan walkthrough for safety, and I know they've been a good partner going through that, and it's been a good event. So we'd be looking for a motion to approve, to execute the permit.
So moved. Support.
Got a motion by Mr. Tominello with support by Mr. York to execute the 2015 permit for fireworks to Wolverine Fireworks Display Incorporated for the Lake St. Clair Metro Park Fireworks event scheduled for June 30th, 2015. Discussion, board members? Hearing none and seeing no public comment, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Next on the agenda was F, and we've tabled that till later in the meeting, H2. So at this point, we'll open up the floor for public comment. Public comment can be general in nature, 5-minute duration.
Bill Servia, resident. First, I'd like to point out to the people that may not be aware in the audience or out there in TV land that back in conjunction with going to a single waste hauler, you did pass a single waste hauler ordinance which addresses all of these items about juice coming out of the truck and what they have to do and what they can't do. It spells it out and what the responsibilities of the residents are too. That said, my other comment is concerning the thing that was postponed until after your closed session. I believe that the fire department is in a deficit mode right now, quite a bit of money. And with that being said, I don't see how you can, in good conscience, fill that position when you may end up having to lay off firefighters in the end of the day. I think it's a convenience possibly, but I think there's other ways that you could, at least for the time being, take care of taking